Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to start off by saying that my thoughts and prayers are with those who have been affected by Hurricane Dorian and those who are still in harm's way of the storm. Okay, subscribers. So we have Jamela Pierre. Jamela has left comments before, but she is now a subscriber, as well as Cheetah's Fly, who leaves comments and is now a subscriber. Thank you guys so much. We also have Jody Joe and me, '07, Beth Clark, Dwight Powell, Suzanne Simmons, Clamar Fulcott, and Susan Police. Um, Visitors who have left comments. We have Mavelyn Adederi or Adedera. Sorry if I'm pronouncing. I know I butchered that. It didn't even feel right coming off my tongue. I apologize. Lynn Z, No S, Gail Somerville, True Jesus Ministry, Heather Mosley, and Lane DeLon. Thank you guys for stopping by my channel, leaving comments. Go ahead and click that subscribe button so you can be a part of the family. Okay, guys, so we are at the finish line. We have 5 more days to go and one more episode to find out what everyone has decided to do. So this episode was pretty tamed. Not much going on. Everyone, of course, is talking about how they're feeling right now. Um, as far as their decision, some have given clear answers. Well, one person has. Some you can kind of guess where they were and maybe kind of change their mind, and some are just still like, I don't know. So I wanted to start off with Matt and Amber. Matt meets up with his friend Devin, and Matt's talking about how he's so proud of, both he and Amber for all the work they've put in. You know, okay, Matt is scary. Yes, because okay, we see what's going on, right? We watch the episodes, we hear what he's saying, but we see his actions. We know that he's not coming home. We know and see how he treats her. We see her reactions, how she's, always distraught, always crying, depressed. However, if we didn't see all of that, if we didn't know all of that, and we were only seeing the parts where he's talking to the group, where he's talking to the experts, where, he's talking to his friend, and just hearing him say all of that, you would believe they had this great relationship, that he was such a great guy, and he's so dedicated to making this marriage work. That is scary. Sometimes people, when they lie, you can kind of tell. You know, Matt doesn't stutter at all. He did stutter at the cabin when he was put on the spot. But for the most part, he is very straight faced, very calm. Like, he probably can pass a lie detector test. That's how convincing he is. And people like that are scary because they're so convincing of their lie. But anyway, he is talking to his friend and he's telling him how Amber struggles with him hanging out with his friends some nights. Okay, Matt, this woman has given you like the ultimate deal by saying that she doesn't care about him hanging out with his friends as long as he's in the house by 2:30. I don't know any wife or girlfriend for that matter, who would be okay with that. So for him to say, "Oh, she has a problem with me hanging out with my friends," no, she has a problem with you not coming home. That's the problem. And it pissed me off because he's up here trying to come off like he's so dedicated, and he's made, he's invested so much, and then trying to turn it around and make it seem like she's the problem. Like, oh, she has. Now we all know Amber's clingy. We know that she has abandonment issues. Okay, he knew that early on. But don't make it seem like she's this possessive, overbearing wife who don't want you to hang out and has a problem with that. I'm sure she does have a problem with it, but she's so willing to bend and compromise just to keep him, that she's okay with you hanging out to 2:30 in the morning. Like, that's crazy. As long as you text her, is what she's saying. So, but of course he's making it seem like, oh, she got a problem with me hanging out with my friends, and um that's hard for him because he's so used to doing his own thing, that it's a problem. He's also saying how she's so clingy, and how he doesn't want to be around her all the time. Now, he said this before. He said worse during an unfiltered episode, where he's like, it's irritating sometimes, and it's just too much, and it's just overbearing, and like, he went in on one unfiltered episode, and I think because he was in the hot seat, like, there was no way to deflect. Like, all the attention was on him, and all the questions was directed at him, that he just kind of he just kind of went off. But he is still pushing that, she's clingy, which we know, and that he needs his space, which is understandable. Everybody is not the type to want to be glued to the hip of someone else. I get that. But you leaving out and staying gone for 2 days is not the solution at all. And it's only going to make her want to cling to you more. Um, so anyway, on to later on that day, Matt and Amber go out to dinner, and she's asking him, what does he like about being married? So Matt is saying, he likes the thought of always having someone there, having someone in his corner, and never being alone. Like, you never have to grocery shop alone, you never have to be home alone. And I was thinking, okay, but Amber is experiencing the total opposite. You're not in her corner. You're not supportive. You're not there for her. And you leave her alone. So the things that you're saying you like about marriage, she's not getting in the marriage. Like, I'm a strong believer in, and I know it's a cliche, you treat others the way you want to be treated. It's so true. If you don't like to be alone, don't do that to someone else. If you want someone who is supportive and who's there for you and who listens to you, then you need to give that back. So anyway, later on they're back at home, and Amber, she's packing to leave because the night before, well, yeah, the week before, actually, because we have 5 more days before decision day, they separate. So Amber leaves and goes to her friend Raven's house. Matt stays at the apartment. So when Amber goes, after she's packing, and she goes in to hug Matt, she starts crying. I don't know if that was kind of like a mercy cry, like, okay, hopefully, if this will make him want to stay, this will make him know that I want to really stay. As if he doesn't know, Amber, he knows. He knows your answer, he knows where you are. But she goes in to hug Matt, and I don't know, Matt just kind of seemed like he was ready for her to go. I bet he was like, look, hurry up and go, so he could just run around naked. He can invite his girlfriend over. I mean, we all know Matt is homeless, so he is going to enjoy that time alone in that apartment. So she goes in to hug him. He's kind of barely hugging her, but when she's walking out the door, he does ask her for one last hug. So I don't know if that was just a little rebound thing, like, okay, let me just give her this hug. Let me just lay it on a little more icing on the cake. All right, let me just ask her for a hug, make her feel special, and then send her on her way because at this point he's just happy. So anyway, Amber is now at her friend's Raven house. And I just love Raven. I do. I really do. But they're there and again, Amber is talking about her feelings, where she is, and this is when Raven reveals to Amber that he saw Matt at the club. Was it a club or bar? Can't remember. Saw Matt with another woman. You can just see it was almost like in slow motion. You can just see the just the anguish over Amber's face set in. Like her lips started shaking, quivering, and she starts crying, but turns around and says, even though she's hearing this, she still likes him and still wants this to work. Y'all, this girl is lost. This After everything he has done to her throughout this entire process. She knows he's BSing because she says it in her confessional. She's like, Matt's only saying this stuff in front of everyone. He doesn't say it to me privately. She's like, his actions doesn't match his words. I mean, she knows what's going on. Amber's not a stupid girl. She knows exactly what's going on. The problem is she doesn't care. She is like, you know what? I know he's doing all of this. In her mind, it's like, as long as he stay with me. Because as long as he stay with her, in her mind, it's like, okay, well, maybe he likes me a little bit. Maybe he needs some time to change. She's given all the excuses, I think, in her head to stay with him. She's so desperate to be married that she's willing to put up with all this BS. I mean, then she asks Raven, no, so Raven is like, look, it didn't look good. They seem to be really into each other. Like, in other words, they were together. Amber then asks, did they leave together? Did he leave with her? And Raven was like, yeah. That's when she just breaks down. She just loses it at that point. She's crying. I mean, like straight boo hooing. Now, Raven, I'm going to have to say something about you now. At that point, at some point during all of this heaving and crying that Amber was doing, you should have gone over there and hugged her. I mean, I hate to see someone like losing it like that and no one goes and console them. I mean, I know some people don't know what to do. Like sometimes I don't know what to do because I don't know how this person, some people don't want to be touched. Some people just want to be in their moment and leave them alone. But this is his girl. They're friends. They've been friends, best friends. So he should know whether or not she wants to be consoled. I guess he does. Maybe that's why he didn't go over there and hug her. But I just felt like maybe he should have gone over and gave her a hug. I mean, this is all out on camera. It was sad to watch. It really was. And then Raven starts crying. He's shedding tears. And I'm like, Amber, this man. Now, we don't know much about Raven. We don't know a lot about Raven. Only what the little bit of camera time that he's gotten, with telling her how great she is, how she deserves better, and all of this. I mean, he seems like a really good friend. Just because he's a really good friend doesn't necessarily mean he'll be a really good boyfriend or a really good husband. But he's way better. He's in giving her way more than Matt has ever or could ever give her. Um, but yeah, so he's shedding tears. I mean, that's his friend. He's not only her friend, but he likes her. And so seeing her cry, seeing her hurt affects him. And we saw that in the episode with him crying as well. Okay, so let's move on to Jamie and Liz. So Liz meets up with her mom. When I tell y'all this conversation between Liz and her mom did something to me, like it really bothered me. So they're sitting having, I guess they're out, having lunch, and Liz is talking about Jamie and how he's emotional, and so they start showing clips of past episodes with how he's treated her and things that he said to her. And oh my god, I was cringing the whole time because they were showing it back to back, and it's like, oh my gosh, like when you look back at it and when they show it back to back, you really see how bad it is. So Liz asked her mom, well, what do you think about Jamie? So Liz's mom says, oh, I think he's a nice Southern man. He just there's some things that he just needs to work on. Then she says, but, Liz, you're not the easiest person to deal with either. You're setting your ways. And then she goes, and I feel like if you really love someone, you can change those ways. When I tell you that made me mad, it made me mad because, okay, I don't know. And I'm going to assume by her mom's response, I'm hoping that Liz just haven't revealed everything to her parents, because I cannot understand for the life of me why any mother would, number one, so she gives Jamie a compliment. Oh, he's a nice guy. He just has some things he need to work on. But then you tell your daughter, okay, but you're not the easiest person to get along with, and basically you need to change your ways. So do they know the full story about Jamie, or has Liz just told them bits and pieces? Because, okay, let's just say she didn't tell them everything. Whatever it is she did tell them, the mom is saying, he has some things he needs to work on. Anything Liz told them, if she's telling the truth about anything and just not telling them the whole thing, I still can't see a mom encouraging their daughter basically to stay in the marriage and work on herself. That's why a lot of women stay in abusive relationships, because they have either parents, mainly moms, or they have friends who are like, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, maybe he was having an issue. You don't know what he's going through. Maybe if you don't push his buttons, maybe if you don't trigger him, he won't react that way. Stop doing that. Stop. I don't know if her mom, again, we don't know exactly what Liz has told them. But if Liz has told them even half of what Jamie has done and has said, Mom, you should be ashamed of yourself by flipping it and telling her you're not the easiest to get along with either. What? How about, listen, you're setting your ways, and if you feel like you can't change, because you can't change him, Jamie's going to do what he wants to do. He's going to have to want to change himself. And if you both feel like neither one of you are willing to bend, compromise, and change, then you need to end the marriage. But again, if based on what Jamie has done, if her parents know, there is no working out, changing, compromise, nothing. He has pushed the boundaries so far out, and just to me, there is no working out anything. Because if he's doing all of this in 8 weeks on camera, on national television, can you just imagine when the cameras are gone, when it's just the two of them? You have to. I'm like this. When I see people out in public, okay, and if they are mistreating someone, whether it be friend, spouse, child, pets, whatever, if someone is so comfortable at mistreating anyone in public, they are 10 times worse behind closed doors. So Liz, she in her confessional, she's like, oh, she has a lot to think about, and just basically saying her feelings for Jamie and all of that. Now she meets up with no, so Jamie meets up with Liz's friend Mario, and he's telling Mario how the issues they've been having. He did tell him that he left a couple of times, and he brings up the arguments that they've had over sex. Now, it's funny how when Liz told Jamie that he seems like an nympho, like you're just so obsessed with sex, like that seems to be your main focus. He got upset, like, no, he's not a nympho and he's not, that's not a focus on sex. And you guys already know how he flipped the script and turned around and was like, we need to take sex off the table. Yet, every time he has a conversation and he's talking about the issues that they have, that's basically what he talks about. So anyway, um so he's saying, how they have arguments about it, and he's like, Liz is all talk, no action. So later on, Liz and Jamie meet up, and the way she started the conversation off, to me, stems from the conversation that she had with her mother. Okay, mom is like, he's a good guy. Yeah, he need to work on some things, but he's a good guy. You, on the other hand, you're not perfect either. You have issues too, and but if you really love him, you'll change. It's so when she met with Jamie and she started off with saying, how she feels about him, how she's appreciative, how he makes her feel, and how he calls her out when she needs to be called out. I mean, it's almost like I don't want to say bow down, but it's almost like her mom, since her mom seemed to approve. Now, regardless of what Liz was feeling, because Liz been back and forth. One minute she's ready to go, she sees the red flags, she's lived it, she know Jamie's has issues, but yeah, she's willing to stay. So she's back and forth, up and down. But mom is saying, basically giving her approval, and is basically kind of saying, you need to change in order to make this work. So now Liz is all soft spoken. She's all loving and like, oh, Jamie, I really appreciate you and how you are, and, you know, um, for calling me out. In other words, putting me in my place when I need to be put in my place. Um, so she's just, laying it on like that. So then Jamie comes off. It seems okay. Is it me, or does it seem like when Liz is loving and kind of, I don't want to say take responsibility, because she didn't really do that in this conversation, but when she said, calling me out when I need to be called out, it's almost like she's telling him it's okay to check me. Now, granted, when you're in relationships, sometimes, sometimes we may need to check each other. I mean, that's not uncommon. It's not a bad thing. It's your approach and how you do so. Okay. But we all know how Jamie checks Liz. But it seemed like when she's loving and talking calm and talking about working things out, it's almost like that gives him a boost. And then he comes on with this condescending behavior. Like, he doesn't like it when she stands up for herself and checks him. He can't handle that. But when she's meek and quiet and appreciative and this submissive wife, then it's like he pokes his chest out. And he just drives it home, like he's just that finger in her face, like, yeah, that's right, I'm the man, that's how he comes off. So anyway, Jamie starts talking about his concern. And of course, the number one is sex. Once again, Mr. I'm not an info, I'm not obsessed with sex. Let's take it off the table. That's his number one concern. Now, I'm a little confused here. So he says, Liz, you're all talk and no action. You talk about being this sexual being, but you're really not. And Liz's mouth just drops. And she's like, what? You don't think I'm a sexual being? And he's like, no, I don't. And it's just this way, I can't even describe. It's this way he talks, like he's eating his food. He talks to her like a parent to a child. Like when the child is in trouble and the parent, they're not going off. They're just eating their dinner all calmly because they know that they about to lay down the punishment. He is so, no, I don't. Like all proper, like, and she's like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, she's confused. And he's like, no. But in his confessional, he's saying how Liz, she wants the validation of being sexy, but when he tries to act on it, she comes up with excuses. So I don't know if he's trying to say that Liz has low self esteem, so she constantly needs to be told she's beautiful, she's sexy, whatever. I mean, who doesn't? You don't have to have low self esteem to want someone to desire you, admire you, give you compliments, because you can know that you're bad. All right, but it doesn't hurt to hear it from someone else. It doesn't hurt to hear and to know that someone else thinks you're bad. All right, like you bad meaning in a good way. But anyway, so she's left confused, and I have to ask, okay, remember in the beginning where after they've had sex and they've talked and they're like, it's amazing. Oh, the sex life is amazing. They don't have any problems in that area. Their problem is communication and emotional bond. That's what they have been saying throughout this entire process. Oh, the sex is great. The sex is amazing. We do it all the time. Then we later learn that during the argument, Liz is saying Jamie doesn't take initiative and he just likes boring Caucasian sex. Now Jamie is saying that Liz is all talk. She tries to come off like, oh, she's, freaky and she's all into sex and it's all this and that. But then when it comes time for it, she pushes him away. She doesn't want it. She comes up with excuses. Now, one thing that her friend said to Jamie when they met, which I totally agree with, when he was saying, women are emotional and, well, he was saying Liz, but I'm saying this is a lot with a lot of women, and I've said this in my one of my past videos when I was talking about Jamie and Liz and how women, if we're pissed, if we're mad at you, we're pissed, or we're feeling hurt, we cannot, a lot of us, we cannot just switch that off and just start being intimate with you. It's very, very hard to do. And so Mario was telling Jamie that he was like, well, Liz, she shuts down, and it'd be very hard for her, or any woman for that matter, to just automatically be intimate if they're pissed off, and like you guys just had an argument, or she's feeling some type of way. And it's like, I don't know if that is why. Like, I don't know. I don't know if Liz is the sexual person and she just hasn't. Maybe she started off like that. And then once Jamie started treating her some type of way, she kind of shied away and kind of shut it down. Like, it's almost like this. Why please you? Why make you happy? Why give in to you? Why give you what you want when you are clearly disrespecting me, talking to me any kind of way, don't care about my feelings, you're not listening to me? Why should I give in to you? So, although it's not a good thing to use sex as a weapon, but we do because we can. I mean, it is what it is. That's reality. I am not about to please you and make you happy and give you what you want and you just cuss me out. Like, that's not happening. So I don't know if that's the situation with Liz, or if Liz really isn't this sexual being that she led Jamie to believe in the beginning. I don't know. I don't, because my thing is this: why start it off having sex with this dude, I'm assuming every day? Why start off with that? Why start off having him think this is who you are when you know you can't keep up with it? Because, of course, not even Jamie himself, but with any man, that's going to cause problems down the road. So I don't know the dynamics of that. Like I said, is it that this she really is that type of person, but because of how he's been treating her, she's just been pushing back? Or did she start off basically with a lie, with the facade, like I am that person, but she really isn't, and so now he's having a problem with it. um but anyway, so they're back at home and packing up their clothes. Liz is actually leaving, and in Jamie's confessional, he's saying, it's close to decision day, and they really need to figure out if they truly love each other or if they even know how to love each other. Because you have to think about everything from the beginning to end, the good and the bad, to make the decision. So anyway, let's move on to Greg and Deanna. So Greg is meeting with his friend Pico, and they start talking about basically the positive and the negative of the relationship. So Pico is asking Greg, um, what are some of the positive things about Deanna make you say that make you want to say, yes, I want this. I want this forever. Now, Greg Greg and Deanna situation confuses me, because to me, in this conversation with Pico, Greg kind of contradicted himself, I think. So he starts off with, oh, she's expressing her feelings. She lets me know that she cares. And he gave an example of, like, when he comes home from work and he's had a bad day, and I guess, he lets her know that, it's been a long, hard day of work. She doesn't just brush him off. Like, she listens and lets him know that she cares, that she's there for him. That that makes him feel, and it's almost like he was struggling to even come up with that. So when I say I'm confused, because he's always, every time he's asked about their relationship, he's always talking about how she doesn't express her feelings. But yet just now, you're one of the positives is she expressed her feelings. She shows me that she cares. Like, okay. So anyway, um, he talks about the negative, and he's saying, um, well, okay, the positive was she is more open and vulnerable. That's what he said. The negative is she's not very expressive of her feelings. Now, I'm okay. When you say she's opening up and she's more vulnerable, what, okay, that compared to she's not expressing her feelings, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So he's saying how, now check this out. Okay. Remember when I've been saying this whole time, I'm like, Deanna keeps talking about it's hard for her to express her feelings. And I've been like, this whole time, in the beginning, she never had a problem expressing her feelings. Deanna was like, anything, she would tell you what she didn't like. Don't say this, don't do that. She doesn't want this, she doesn't want that. And what was that he said when he was joking with her? I think this was right before, either they were on their honeymoon or right before they went on their honeymoon. And he was like, I think she said he looked good or something, and he was like, "Oh, so you're smitten by me." She immediately came back with smitten. The word smitten is not in Deanna's vocabulary. Like speaking in third person, and that's not in my vocabulary. Like she couldn't even play it off and just joke with him. She could have been like, yeah, I don't know about smitten, but I like what I see. Like you can, there's a way of telling the person, yeah, I don't like that word, or that's not something I would use. There's a way to do that in a non, I guess, mean way. I don't know. Like she could have just spun that, but she was like, no, that's not in my vocabulary. So now Greg is saying, he's like, she doesn't have a problem now. Now this is where all of this contradiction is coming in with Deanna as well. He's saying when it comes to the bad things, when it comes to the negative things, she doesn't have a problem expressing her thoughts. Okay, so what does that mean? Deanna, you do not have a problem expressing your thoughts. So why is it that when it's negative, oh, hey, you front and center, you say it, and that's that. But when it comes to something positive, you have a hard time. Like a lot of people would have a problem. Some people are non-confrontational and they just don't want to hurt someone's feelings. So a lot of people have problems expressing themselves when it comes to negative things, but they're okay with expressing themselves when it comes to positive things. But she's the opposite. But so it's not that you have a problem with expressing yourself. We've all seen that, and Greg just admitted that when it's negative, you can do it. So then the question is it that she's not feeling him? So she doesn't feel anything for him, therefore she has nothing to say positive. And I mean, not that, obviously she likes him, right? And I've been saying they act like good friends, or like he is her favorite cousin that she loves to hang with. That's how they act. So it's not that she doesn't like him. It's not that she doesn't like spending time with him. Maybe it's just that she's not feeling him romantically. Therefore, it's hard for her to come up with words. And I guess in a way, maybe it's kind of a good thing. Like, instead of her lying and leading him on, saying all these good things that he wants to hear, knowing that she doesn't feel it, you know what I mean? Versus she's just constantly saying, it's hard for me to express myself. I mean, I don't know. Like, you can look at it both ways. Now, here's another thing that I'm puzzled about. Okay. Men usually are expressive and they read into feelings through sex, right? So, my question is, Greg is saying that Deanna doesn't express herself when it comes to her feelings for him in a positive way. Like, in other words, she's not expressing that, she's falling in love, or she's not being expressive in terms of how she feels about the marriage. So when he's saying how, she shows that she cares, back to the conversation she had with Dr. Coles when Dr. Coles was like, well, how, tell me how you let him know that you're into him. And when Deanna was like, oh, I make sure he's straight, he's okay before I leave, whatever. And when Dr. Coles was like, that seemed more of a on a roommate type base, which is true. So when she is talking to him, when he's talking about his hard day of work, and when Greg said, she lets me know that she cares by listening and whatever, that's not necessarily loving or relationship based. A friend does that. So when he says she's not expressing her feelings, I'm gathering is in the romantic sense. She's not. Yes, she listens to him and talks about his day, and let him know that, hey, it's gonna be okay. I'm sorry you had a bad day, whatever. That's not saying I'm falling in love with you. That's not saying I'm happy with this marriage. That, you know what I mean. So I get that, because it was kind of confusing. Like, well, you're saying she's open and she's vulnerable and she shows that she cares. Like, what? So why are you saying she doesn't express herself? So that's what I'm thinking. He means. Okay, so this is where I was going with the whole I'm puzzled. Like I said, men express themselves and they read into things through sex. Meaning, okay, so let's say you guys have had an argument, whatever. You having sex with him, to him, and I'm not speaking for all guys, this is just what I'm thinking. To him, it means argument is over, you're okay, things are cool, whatever, because you are now having this intimate moment with me. You wouldn't be doing this if you're mad. Even though I think some women probably do that, but for the most part, guys know if we are not feeling you, if we're pissed off, you're not getting any. Okay? So, where I'm puzzled with Deanna and Greg is, my question is, did they only have sex once? The birthday sex? Or are they doing it on a regular? And the reason why I'm questioning that is because even though she is not expressing herself verbally that she wants him, if she is having sex with him on a regular, and when I say on a regular, I don't care if it's once a week, okay? If she is having sex with him at least once a week, most guys would take that as, okay, she's not very open when it comes to her romantic feelings. She's not very open in verbally expressing it. However, she is having sex with me, so she must be feeling me. Like, most guys would take that as, all right, she's feeling me. So if she is having sex with him, wouldn't he kind of take that as she's feeling him? She wants him, or at least the sex is good. Like, I'm just I'm thinking it only happened once, maybe twice. And another thing that made me think that it only happened once, and I'll get into that because something that she said when she was with her girlfriends, um, when they went out to eat. Okay, but again, with Greg and his whole view on things, because Pico asked Greg, he was like, okay, so, oh, let me go back. When he was talking about her expression, so he was saying that when it comes to the negative things, she has no problem expressing her feelings. When it comes to the good things, he has to hear it third person. So he's hearing it from the experts that, oh, Deanna is into him, which is, again, it's weird. That's weird because it's not like she can't it's not like she's not expressing how she feels about him in a positive light. She's just not saying it to him. So is she pulling a Matt? Because Matt talks a good game when he's with the experts and when he's with the group, but he doesn't say those things to Amber. So same thing with Deanna. She's telling the experts in the group how great he is, how things are good, how she's feeling him, how she really, really likes him, how she can see herself falling in love down the line. But obviously she's not telling him this. So why is that? So it's not like you can't express it at all. You are expressing it. You're just not saying it to him. So I don't get that. I don't get that. It's coming off like, Deanna, you are pulling a mat on us, right? And so Greg was saying his concern was that once the experts leave, then what? Because at least he's hearing it. Even though he's not hearing it from her, he is getting some type of information that she's feeling him. Now, he's not getting that through sex. Like, again, Deanna, are they having sex? Because you would think you would know through that. Because you already see how she is. She's already saying how she has her walls up, this, that, third, whatever. So to me, if she is giving you sex, being the person that she is, one would take that as she's feeling him. She just, for whatever reason, get tongue tied when it comes to expressing. She's expressing it physically, but not verbally. So that's what made me think they're not having sex. Anyway, so Pico then is like, all right, so have y'all smashed yet? And Greg shut that down. He was like, whoa, that's my wife. Like, it's not smashing. Okay, so Greg says, yes, it's A plus, right? He doesn't get into details like it's all the time or it's just been that one time. But his response, the way he responded, will make you think they are having sex. Not they had, but they are, because he's like, oh, yeah, we've done it. He was like, yeah, we've had sex, and it's A plus. Deanna meets with her friends, and same thing. You guys know how I am with Deanna with the same script. She really likes him. Um, she's still trying to figure things out, and this is another thing. Okay, they have 5 more days to go. I'm sorry, but with 5 more days to go, I cannot understand how everyone or how anyone can be still stuck, not knowing if they're going to say yes or say no. Oh, when Greg was talking to Pico, when he was telling his confessional, and when Pico was like, what if she never changes? What if it's going to always be she can't express her feelings? What if that is how she's always going to be? Can you live with that for the rest of your life? Can you deal with that? So in Greg's confessional, he's like, well, I thought I had my answer. I was pretty set with my answer, but now after talking to Pico, um, I may have to go back to the drawing board and rethink everything. So that leads me to believe he was already made up in his mind and he was going to say yes. And now that Pico is telling him, like, look, now, yes, she may be going to the experts and telling them good things and how she feels, but she's not saying it to you. And what if once the experts leave, she never changes? You are a communicator with words. So you want, and you're saying that it's a problem and that she's not when it comes to the positive things. Can you deal with that? Anyway, so Deanna's with her friends, and she's saying she likes him. Um, they ask her if she loves him. She was like, no, not yet, but she hopes to one day be in love with him or love him, and she's working towards that. And they asked her, well, they were asking about, have they been making out? Okay. So she's like, yeah, they're making out. And they're like, no, okay, have y'all had sex? So the difference in Deanna's response and Greg's response. So Deanna says, okay, yeah, we're adults. We've crossed that bridge and it was good. To me, that stood out. She didn't say, yeah, we've had sex, and it's good, we're good in that area. Because when you say it like that, that means we're doing it. Okay. Again, I don't care if it's once a week, once every other week, whatever. That's how I look at it. When you say we've crossed that bridge and it was good, that means we've crossed that bridge once, it was good, and that's that. And again, that kind of connect the dots for me when I say the body language. If she is having sex with him, on a regular, I think I think Greg would see that as okay. She's into me. She's not saying it, but she wouldn't be having sex with me if she wasn't into me, knowing how she is. So anyway, um, she's talking about how she is concerned about Greg's concern that same thing, she's not expressing her feelings, and that Greg basically let her know that that's a deal breaker for him, her not being expressive. And another thing, okay, she knows this is a deal breaker for him, right? She knows this bother him, yet she's not trying to change. I mean, she says she is, but if you know this is what out of everything this man is asking for, out of everything that he's doing and he's giving, only thing he asks is that you let him know how you feel about him and this marriage. You know this. You know it's a deal breaker for him. But yet you're not compromising. You're not even willing to give him that. Like that is just strange. I don't know. It's either Deanna is not feeling him and she doesn't want to lie, or she is feeling him but she wants him to chase her. She doesn't want to. You know how it's like, I don't want him to know that I'm into him because then he'll stop chasing me. He'll stop courting me. He'll stop giving into me and catering to me. You know what I mean? Like right now, he's trying to win her over. And maybe she feels like if he feels that he's won her over, maybe he'll stop these things. I understand that. But you got to meet this man halfway. Okay? I mean, you're in a marriage. So all of that winning over one over what, no. I think he's proven himself enough to where you should be okay letting your guards down and letting this man know exactly how you feel. Now, I said before how I think because she's already married. Now, the hard part is getting the husband. And with Deanna's personality and her attitude, I, I mean, no one would want to marry her, let alone date her. Okay, and we know because over the 10 years she's had these situationships that she said she wanted to work, but they didn't work out. Okay, for whatever reason. So now that she has the husband, okay, let me get this out the way. Let me go ahead, get the husband, and okay, boom, I got the husband. Now he's gonna have to sit there and wait until I'm ready to put these walls down, until I'm ready to express myself, until I'm ready to do what I want to do. Okay, it's like he's my husband. He said yes. He ain't going nowhere, so he just gonna have to deal with all of this. That's how it's coming off, and her friends kind of touched on that because when they were saying asking about making the decision, and she was saying how she's still trying to decide, and her friend said, well, you're already married, so you pretty much got to make it work. And she's like, yes, yes, that's what I've been saying. Look, we're already married, so whatever. Like, whereas Greg worked on himself prior to getting married, Deanna got married, and now she's trying to work on herself. That's the difference between them. And that's like, oil and water. You two are coming into this with totally different viewpoints and totally different, what's the word I want to use? I don't want to say personalities, but he's coming in ready. She's coming in trying to get ready. That's where I'm trying to go with that. If that make any sense, okay? Like, I worked on myself. I'm ready for a wife. I'm ready for a husband while I'm working on myself, basically. Okay. So later on that day, her and Deanna and Greg are hanging out, having drinks, playing pool, drinking wine, and just having a good, out of, and I know we've discussed this in the comments. Can I just say I love you guys? I really do. I love reading your comments. Some of you have posted things that I haven't thought of. Like, it's just good to see different people. Like, we're all watching the same show, but we all can have our own different views and opinions of it. But anyway, so I think it was Jennifer D. Someone posted that Greg, or was it Cheetah's Fly? I can't remember. Sorry guys, but both of you comment a lot, and you two are kind of like on the same page. Was saying that out of all the guys, Greg is the only one that is courting his wife. He's the only one that puts little stuff together. Like this whole, okay, let's just hang out, drink some wine, have a little cheese and meat platter, and that's just chill. Like, that type of thing is sweet. It's the little things. Like, you don't have to always go all out. But he is no one can say that Greg is not putting in the work. He is doing everything possible for this woman. Everything possible. And she can't even express herself verbally when it's something positive, but she can express, child, okay. Calm down. Let me cuz you can just see, I don't know. She just doesn't seem appreciative. She doesn't. But anyway, so they're hanging out, they're playing pool, and he they had a little game going where he's like, what is it? If she makes a shot or he makes a shot, they have to answer each other's questions. So the question came up where he asked her if she loved him, which I was kind of like, Greg, the girl is not even expressing herself with basic stuff when it comes to positive affirmations for you. You really gonna ask her on camera if she loves you? She haven't even, according to you, she's not even expressing herself about if she's happy or not in this marriage, if she's happy with you, or how she really feels about you, and you just gonna bypass all of that. Like, I would have asked, are you happy in this marriage, or how do you feel about this marriage? No, he goes to, do you love me? Like, really, dude? You really gonna do this to yourself on camera? Anyway, one thing I wanted to say in her confessional, Deanna was saying, she's still in limbo, and then she says, she's not sure if Greg is everything she wants. Now wait a minute, Deanna, because a couple of episodes back, when you were saying Greg is everything that you've asked for, not only that, like, God gave you everything that you asked for in Greg, not only everything that you asked for, but everything that you need. So we're 5 days away from decision day, and now you're saying you don't know if he's like, girl, y'all know how I feel about Deanna and Greg. I'm so up and down with them because I want them to work, and I think it's mainly because I like him. Like, I want to see him happily married. So I'm kind of like, I want them to work for his sake. However, Indiana, I thought she was coming around at one point, but like I said, every time I'm willing to root for her, she does something that turns me off. So at this point, I would prefer they split. I really do, because I just feel like he deserves someone who can at least. My thing is this: if you are the type, and there are some people who it's very hard for them to communicate their feelings, whether they positive, negative. There's just some people that it's just hard. If you, for you to be so comfortable to express yourself negatively, but it's hard and it's like pulling teeth to express yourself positively, something's that's a problem. That's a problem. Nobody wants to hear. I mean, not saying you can't express both, because it's very important in relationships to express both. If it's something that you don't like, something that you want more of your partner, or you want your partner to stop doing, there's a way to say that. There's a way to get that point across. So I you know, agree that you should be able to express yourself to your partner with not so positive things. However, they can't all be negative. And if they are, you should not be together. So I just have a problem with her being so comfortable, and it's no problem to tell him negative things, but positive things, you're shy, you're dropping your head, and you're like, oh, I don't, you know, nah, So I want him to be happily married. And now I'm pretty sure after this show airs, if they choose to split up, I don't think he's going to have a problem finding someone. Now, hopefully if they do split, he can find someone who genuinely um would be interested in him, and not just like, oh, I want somebody to wine and dine me, you're just using him type situation. But I'm over them. Like, we're 5 days away, and you have not. This girl has not budged. Maybe a little, like she did say, I really really like you, but in 8 weeks, in comparison, I mean, everyone moves at their own pace. Not saying she has to give him exactly what he's giving her. I'm not saying that, but in comparison, the way she talks, you would think they've been together for like 2 weeks. So anyway, at this point, I wouldn't be upset if they parted ways. All right, so let's move on to Iris and Keith. Iris and Keith, their scenes are always, I think my commentary is always very, very short, very brief with them, because they don't give a lot. They really don't. Like, there's not much to talk about when it comes to them. So Keith is meeting with his mom, which, I'm wondering why he doesn't meet up with his dad. I think I think it would have been good to see that. Um Especially since his mom and dad are still together. So it's not like, let's say in Ira's situation, her parents aren't together, so maybe his schedule conflict, I don't know, whatever. But Keith, you go home and you're both of your parents there. Like, I just thought it would be good to see him have a talk with his dad. Because to me, yes, it's good, to get your mom's advice, but it's also good to get it from a male's perspective about how to maneuver in marriage. So I'm kind of surprised, actually, that he is not meeting with his dad one on one, or meeting with his parents together. Like, that would have been a good look. But anyway, so he's meeting up with his mom, and talking about decision day, and he's saying how he's still on the fence. He's saying that, sex still is a big part of him being on the fence and making that decision. He did, say that he's trying to figure out how to maneuver through their differences, but he does feel like they're a good team. He feel like they're a good team. He feel like they're compatible. Um, I'm saying, they have the same goals, morals, things like that. And he was also talking about how he feels, he really appreciate her being there for him, after his grandmother passed, and all of that. So he talks like he likes her. Everything is good. He didn't get when he says, how to maneuver through and deal with their differences. He doesn't get into details about what the differences are. The only concern he brings up is her virginity, how he's concerned about that. Now, when Keith, well, I'll get into that later when Keith and Iris are communicating. But anyway, so Iris meets up with her mom and her friend, and Iris starts off when they're talking about her decision. She comes right out and says, "Yeah, she wants to stay married." And her mom was like, "Well, what about the things that would make you pause and say no?" And Iris was saying, "Yeah, she goes back and forth with that." I guess the negative things, she asked herself like, "Oh my God, can I deal with this forever?" But then she says, all the things that would have made her pause, she's over those things. Like, in other words, whatever these little negative things about Keith that annoys her or concerns her or whatever, they're not that big that she's willing to walk away from the marriage. Okay, now again, she doesn't get into detail. So it's like they both say they have differences, but they don't elaborate on what they are. Everyone else, all the other couples give details about their differences and what concerns them and what they don't like. Keith and Iris don't do that. They just give us very, very little. So anyway, but she's saying that, she wants to stay married, she wants to work it out. Now Keith and Iris later on meet, they go out to dinner, and they're talking about, all the thoughts in their heads and, decision day. They both agree that, they're a good match. So they're on the same page when it comes to the positive things. They feel like they're a good match. They feel like they're compatible. Um, Iris asked, well, what Keith was like, he couldn't have asked for a better match, which I thought was sweet. Iris asked him if her virginity is still a concern for him, and he says yes. And one thing I will say, I mean, Keith doesn't talk a lot, and I don't know if all of you guys know that Iris gave an interview um about her and Keith's relationship, and she was very candid about man, I don't want to I don't want to give a spoiler. I mean, it doesn't mean that they didn't stay married, but she kind of gave some insight on what really went on and how Keith wasn't very expressive and how he was always hanging out with his friends. He was barely home. How he didn't make her feel comfortable. Like, in other words, it almost came off like he probably could have gotten it if he kind of eased her into it. Like, he came off like he wasn't really interested in being intimate, and that when she would, I guess, try to be affectionate, not necessarily trying to have sex with him, but just be affectionate, how he would turn over and be on his phone, and he didn't basically he didn't court her. He didn't, you know I guess, be romantic and just kind of let her know that he was really into her. In other words, look, I got this prize that you're trying to get, but you're not working hard to get it. It's almost like we're married and you think I should just automatically give it to you. That's how it came off. So he's saying, I feel like you're a good match, and like, we don't see this on camera. Like, we have no idea. And this is why I know in the comments, I can't remember who told me about the article that the interview, and I went and read it. But I was saying how I didn't like the fact that in the interview, Iris was stating how when she would see Keith on Unfiltered, that she was surprised that he was saying certain things like, sexual maturity and whatever, because they had an agreement that they were going to there were certain things they weren't going to do on camera and discuss on camera, that um basically they were going to present themselves a certain way on camera because they both work with children. And I don't want to get too much into the interview in case you guys haven't read it or don't know anything about it, but just to give you a snippet of that compared to what we're seeing on camera. Um anyway, so with Keith, you seeing them on camera, you would have never guessed that he was hanging out all the time with his friends and barely home, barely spending time with her. Now we do see that he's no Greg, okay? He doesn't take we don't see. We see them having dinner, but it's kind of like um when all the couples are doing the same thing at the same time, like, okay, go out to dinner, like anniversary, everybody did something on the anniversary. But as far as like a date, going out, just hanging out, whatever, we don't see that. We don't see, the flowers, the candy, um, and just him sitting down with her and expressing his feelings. So during dinner, he does say, I couldn't have been matched with a better person, a better match, which was really sweet. Um, but anyway, so he does say he's concerned. He's still concerned about the virginity. Now, this is where I feel they need to communicate more. Now, maybe they're doing it off camera. We don't know. My thing is, what are you concerned about? Like, what is your concern regarding the virginity? And that, to me, that's what either he needed to just elaborate, just once after he says that, he needs to elaborate, or Iris needs to ask him. Like, you keep asking him, is it a concern for him? He keeps telling you yes. Why are you not asking him, okay, well, what are your concerns regarding that? Like, because, okay, we're married. And I said I'm saving myself for marriage. We are now married. Now, granted, it's been, this is only for 8 weeks. So eventually I plan on having sex with you. Why are they not discussing what the concerns are on both parts? They're that's the missing part. It's like they say these little key lines and then that's it. So Keith, okay, what is your concern? Are you concerned that she is going to be turned off and she's not going to want it anymore, or it's going to be a fight every time? Not a fight, that's not a good word to use. It's going to be an issue every time you want to be intimate, and because the first time was a bad experience for her, you're pretty much going to have to coax her into it every time. You're like pretty much beg, and then will that cause friction because she feels like you're forcing her or you're pressuring her? Are your concerns, are you guys are not going to be compatible? Like, even of course at first, she's going to be shy. She, it's not gonna be on your level, but like, are you concerned that she would never get on your level, that she would never be that sexual partner that you want and need? Like, what are your concerns? Because you're not giving us much, like I said. And the reason why I think he's not even expressing this to her, because she keeps asking him. Like, I just don't understand how you guys are not. This is like the elephant in the room. This is the main issue, the main storyline of your marriage on camera. Why are you guys not discussing that in detail? Are you concerned about my virginity? Yes. Is this a part of your decision making? Yes. And that's it? Like, you don't want no more? And then with Iris, talk about what your concerns are. Are you concerned that once you finally have sex with him? Are you concerned that are you concerned about pain and discomfort? Are you concerned that he won't take his time? Are you concerned that he won't be um thoughtful about your need? Like, what are you guys concerns regarding your virginity? That is your main storyline, yet you are not talking about the concerns. Also, with Keith, is one of his concerns that, okay, I say yes, I've been patient all this time. Let's say I say yes, and then you're still holding out. Because maybe Keith, in the beginning, maybe he felt like, all right, she's a virgin. Yes, 8 weeks are long, but I can hang in there and stick it out for 8 weeks as long as, because maybe he feel like if I'm being patient, if I'm not pressuring her, if I'm being understanding and just going with the flow, then she will realize I really want to be married, that it's not all about sex. I'm not even pushing the envelope with that. And then hopefully at the end of the 8 weeks, they decide to stay together. She can let her guards down because she know this thing is real, and then they can move on to the next level. So maybe part of his concern is at the end of the 8 weeks, she's still putting it on hold. And he doesn't know how long that's going to go. Because, again, like Deanna, okay, I already have the husband. Like, again, a lot of guys are not going to be just, if you're just guys you're meeting out in the street on a regular basis. A lot of them are not going to be that patient. Yeah, they may wait for you, but in the meantime, they're out there doing other girls until you decide to give it up. Okay, if they really, really feel like, all right, I'm gonna wait on you, but I'm not gonna wait, right? So it's almost like I said, it's almost like the Deanna situation where, okay, it was hard for me to find a husband, find a guy that's willing to wait and get to know me and decide to marry me without having sex. So let me go and get the husband. All right, I already got my husband. Now, just like Deanna, okay, you sit over there and wait until I'm ready to make that move. And I don't know where Iris' head is at, because I understand she doesn't want, and I wouldn't, I don't even blame her because I wouldn't do this. Um, to tell him like, okay, at the 8 weeks, if we decide to stay together, then I know it's real and we can move things to the next level. I don't agree in saying that, because then, yeah, of course he's gonna be like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, he gonna say yes at the 8 weeks, and then bam, get what he wants, and he can roll out. You know, you don't want to give him false hope, and you don't want to entice him with, okay, at the end of the 8 weeks is on, because you don't want him to stay because of that reason. But at the same time, you need to express to him that, you know what, we're getting closer, I'm feeling you, I'm sexually attracted to you. um just kind of let him know that it's on the horizon without actually, because again, you don't want to entice him, you don't want him to say yes based off of him knowing at the end of 8 weeks he's going to get it. But again, I just feel like they are very, very limited in communicating on camera. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but on camera, you guys are not digging deep and talking about your concerns as far as sex. That seems to be the major speed bump, but you guys are not talking about how you're going to get over that speed bump. You're just, both of you are just saying there's a big ass speed bump right there, or a big ass pothole that we have to get over. But you're not talking about how you're going to get around or how you can get over it. That's what we want to see. But I mean, we have 5 days left, and the next episode is decision day. So I guess we haven't gotten it thus far. We're not going to get it. What they've given us is what we got, and that's that. But anyway, they end up toasting to cheers to making it work this far. They, like I said, they're on the same page as far as feeling like they are compatible. They do like each other. That's not an issue. But one thing I do want to touch on a little, because again, going back to the interview, what she has said in the interview is totally different to how she's coming off on camera. And what I mean by that is when she talks about Keith, staying out all the time with his friends, when she met up with the other ladies, and especially at the cabin. Okay, when they were at the cabin, it was just the girls talking. And when Liz and Amber talked about how Jamie and Matt were staying out all night, to me, okay, Iris, according to the interview, you were experiencing the same thing. However, she never said a word. The whole time she's making it seem like she's telling Amber, "Oh, I feel so blessed to have Keith, and he's this and he's that." You're sitting up there in the same, and then your situation may not be as daunting as those two, but you are experiencing the same things. But yet you were sitting there almost in judgment, shaking your head like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." And the whole time Keith is hanging out with his friends too. So that's why I'm saying, Iris kind of seem like she's putting up this facade. So when it's time to be honest with everyone and be open and honest about your marriages and what's going on, you chose not to do that. You chose to only give the positive. I mean, and she did say, well, when I think about certain, something like the negative things, I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have to deal with this forever for the rest of my life? Now, she didn't get into detail what that is, but Liz saw right through it, because Liz saw the body language, like, yeah, y'all come off like everything is good. But because here's the thing, you can only fake it but for so long. When things are not on good terms, you don't have to verbally say, like, you guys don't have to be standing up there cursing each other out, okay? But your body language speaks in volumes, and people need to realize that regardless of what your mouth is saying, what's coming out your mouth, your actions and your body language tells the whole story. So I'm like, when she was walking with Amber and, call herself counseling Amber, it's like, girl, you're dealing with the same, like I said, it's not to the level as Matt, but you're kind of dealing with the same thing. But instead of you coming off as, I understand what you're going through to a certain point, because, Keith hangs out with his friends a lot too. He's not home a lot, and he's not instead of you coming off of on that point, you're coming off like, oh my gosh, like, how do you deal with that? And this is why I'm glad I stayed a virgin, because, I want to see if the guy, like, okay. Yeah. Anyway, that is it. It ends with one of the spouse in each couple leaves. I wonder how they came up with who leaves. Now with Amber and Matt, I'm assuming it's because he doesn't have a place to go to, so Amber leaves. But I was just curious as to who decides who leaves the apartment. But Iris and Keith, so she Iris packs up, no, Keith packs up to leave, and um on his way out the door, they kiss, and he leaves. And yeah, that's it. It ends with everyone, one of the spouses leaving, going home so that they can have some time to themselves to ponder over their decisions on whether or not to stay married. So that is it, guys. We are down to the wire. We have one more show, and then it's over. It's over. But leave comments. I want to know, who do you guys think is going to say yes and say no? Like, you can get into details if you want to, as to why you think that, but I really want to know. Let's take a vote right now. Who do we think is going to say yes on decision day, and who do we think is going to say no? right now, and mine kind of changes as you know with each episode. Right now, Greg and Deanna. I don't know, you guys. I don't know because based off of his conversation with Pico, Greg was like, "I already had my decision, but after talking to my boy, I may have to go back to the drawing board and think some things over." So I don't know. He was saying yes, but now he got to think some things over. Greg, I think, feels he can go either way. Greg is the wild card. He can go either way because I think he feels like, okay, maybe she'll change. I think Greg feels like he can change Deanna. Like, I remember I said before in one of my reviews that I think he's going to try to get her into counseling. So if Greg feels like he can change Deanna, if he feels like, all right, if I just get her to go to counseling to work on whatever issues she's having, if I wine and dine her some more, if I say yes and she, because of course, you know, he keeps saying Deanna has trust issues, whatever. So maybe he feels like if he says yes at the end of the 8 weeks, then she will know he is serious. She can let her guards down and express herself, and they can move forward and have more sex. So I'm thinking he'll say yes if that's where his train of thought is going. If he's thinking in terms of, if I say yes, she will say yes because she will know I'm serious. I want to stay in this marriage, and now she doesn't have to have these trust issues anymore because she knows that I'm in this marriage for the long haul. If he says no, it's because, and who knows? I wonder if his boy, his friend, is talking to him behind the scenes as well. So like we see them on camera talking, and Pico make, you can tell he's not feeling it. He's not feeling it. He makes very good points. Can you, yes, okay, she's doing this, she's doing that. Can you, what if it doesn't change? Like, what she's doing is obviously a big concern for you. Okay, is this something that you are willing to deal with for the rest of your life if it doesn't change? And I think that is very important for any couple. No one's perfect, all right? We all have things about us, things that we do that may annoy our husbands, our wives, our boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. And things that they do that irritate us, annoy us, or, it doesn't have to be anything big. You have to ask yourself, is this something that if they don't change, if they don't stop, is this something that I can deal with forever? Like, is this a deal breaker for me? And I think a lot of people enter marriage thinking they can change the other person. Please do not think that. People don't just change overnight. Some people will never change, depending on what it is. Okay. And if this person's been this way for their entire life, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to change. So you have to ask yourself, is this a deal breaker? Can I deal with this? Don't go into a marriage thinking, okay, I can work on them, I can change them. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to be very disappointed and you're going to be miserable. So, anyway, if he says no, it's, I feel like it's because his friend, because it seems like Greg thinks one way, and then when he talks to his friend, he's hit with reality. You know what I mean? So if his friend is talking to him continuously behind the scenes, then Greg may say no, because his friend seems to, like I said, he gives Greg a reality check and make him think. Greg is thinking about, I can make this work. She'll change. Um, if I just give it more time, if she know, if I say yes and she knows that I'm in this, his friend is like, well, what if she doesn't change? Because Greg is not thinking in terms of that, and you can tell this is the second time he's met with his friend, and this is the second time his friend keeps bringing up that key element. Dude, she hasn't changed thus far. Like, you got this is 8 weeks, okay? We're going to the eighth week. She has not changed. What if she doesn't change? What if this is who she is? Like, she has not budged. So if Greg let his friend Pico get in his head and he really starts to think, okay, I can't deal with this for the rest of my life, then he'll say no. Deanna, I think Deanna wants to be married at all costs. I think she got the hard part out the way of finding a husband. Well, not finding, getting matched with a husband. Okay. So she didn't have to wait for someone to get to know her and decide they don't want to marry her. She got an instant husband. Okay. Like instant oatmeal. She got her instant husband. I think she will stay. I think she's going to say yes. I think she's going to say yes, but I don't think she's going to change. I really don't. I think Deanna's going to stay who she is. I think, yeah, I don't want to say I think it's going to get worse, but uh, I just think that I think she's going to say yes, but I don't think she's going to change because to her, it's like we're married. He decided to stay married. All of this I'm doing and not doing, he still decided to stay with me. So it is what it is. She gonna change on her terms, have a way she see fits. Probably have sex with him every now and then, so that it's not all bad. But I don't see her changing. But she'll stay married because she wants a husband, and she knows that out there in the real world, no one's gonna want to marry her, or it's going to be very, very difficult in finding someone that wants to marry her with all that she's coming with. All right, Jamie and Liz, I think Liz would say yes. I think Liz would say yes, and I think it is partially because her mom is, I don't want to say pushing her to, but I think if she had any doubt after meeting with her mother, and her mother basically, I just, that conversation, just, I can't, I just can't. But I think if she was in limbo, I think having that meeting with her mom pushed her towards yes. Even after she met with Jamie after the fact, and him with his little condescending self, with him saying, I basically, she lied to him, like, you're saying that you're this sexual being and you're all about sex, but you're not doing it. I think Liz will, as her mom said, if you really love someone, you'll, you'll make those changes. I think Liz is going to say yes, and I think she's going to try and conform to Jamie's wishes, needs, wants, whatever. Jamie, Jamie's another wild card because it can go either way for him. Jamie, I feel it depends. If he's really hung up on this sex thing and he really feels like Liz is not going to change, because his whole thing is sex. He already see how he can control her. He's very manipulative, he's very controlling. So, and obviously that hasn't worked for him. That's why he's on this show. So he, just to be mean and spiteful, I can kind of see him saying no, but at the same token, she's kind of putting it out there to him, because you guys see how it always seems like she's the one that comes to him after a blow up. She's always the one apologizing and turning things around. So I'm inclined to say he'll say yes, only because he has already seen how he can manipulate and control her. And him, he's very those mind games. Him saying to her, "You're not a very sexual being. You come off that way, but your actions doesn't match." him saying that basically is so that she can prove herself to him. Oh, he's saying I'm not a sexual being. He doesn't think so, but I'm going to show him. So, in other words, let me manipulate her into wanting to prove to me, which means what is she going to do? She's going to give him more sex. She's going to conform to whatever it is he wants to do. So, let's say if he's into some freaky stuff, whatever it is, she's going to conform because what? She wants to prove to him that she is what she has presented herself as from the beginning. This dude is a classic manipulator, and he's damn good at it. He's very good at it. Let me flip it. I don't think, because think about it. When someone tells us, I don't think you can do it. I don't think, you're as good as you say you are. What on the average person does what? I mean, you got some people that'll cuss you out and be like, okay, whatever. You don't think so? Then whatever. But then the average person, what do? They go out of their way to prove to you, I am all that I say that I am. So that's what he's doing to her. This child, Lord, I hope if they stay together, please don't have any kids. Please do not have any kids because I can see him being so critical of her as a mother. It's going to be chaotic beyond measure. He's going to do it in front of the kids. I can see him leaving, taking the kids with him. It's going I need them to split. I want them to split because Jamie is no good. They cannot work. They cannot work. Jamie needs somebody that's going to check his ass, put him in place, tell him to sit down somewhere and be like, "Listen, this is how we're going to do this. You're not going to talk to me this way. You're not going to treat me this way." That's what he needs because when Liz give him that, what does he do? He leaves. He can't handle it. He can't handle it. He has to be in control at all times, and by having control, he manipulates her. Matt and Amber, if Amber say no, I will be. But then again, because I always compare them to Luke and Kate from last season. We all thought that Kate was going to be dumb enough to say yes, but she said no. So Amber, I think Amber's going to say yes. I think she is. If she say no, oh my gosh, I would be so surprised. But I think she's going to say yes. And also, it depends on who goes first. I honestly think that's key in a lot of these decisions is who goes first. Because if the first person that goes, if they say no, now, I know I would. If I were on the show and they ask the guy first and he says no, I'm not following up with yes. I'm not following up with yes. I'm going to say no too. Because no. So this is all, it's all up in the air because again it depends on what the first person says. I think with Matt and Amber, I think they're going to ask her first. I don't know. I hope they ask Matt first. I don't know, guys. I don't know because I think Matt is going to say no. Like this, I guess I'm speaking in terms of what I want. I want Matt to say, I want him to go first, and I want him to say no, so that Amber can just see that I would hate for her to go first and say yes. That would, oh my god, I would be so heartbroken for her. And then he turns around and say no. You know what I mean? So anyway, Iris and Keith. Iris is gonna say yes. I mean, unless something changes in the next 5 days, but she did say to her mom and her friend that she wants to stay in it. That the issues that they have is not that big of a deal to her where she's willing to walk away from the marriage. Keith, Keith is basically what his mama say. Okay, Keith is a mama's boy. If we haven't figured that out yet, um, so and I wouldn't think that mom would tell him on camera, but when them cameras go off and it's just the two of them, I don't know. But I think the decision is based off of what his mom feels. I really do. And his mom seems to like Iris, but she seems to like her, but little things that she said is kind of like, yeah, she cool and everything, But if you're not happy, then like that, like that's my big concern. So if you're not happy, walk away. Like she's more concerned. Like she's not saying, well, maybe you should compromise, or maybe you should, see her side, or maybe you should work on it a little harder. She's like, are you happy? Can you see yourself with her? So mom is like, I like her and everything, but if you're not happy, then walk away. She's not even like advising, you know. So I think, see, Keith, I, I see Keith saying yes. I see him saying yes, but see, okay. You have decision day, and then you have after decision day. So those who are saying yes may have alternative motives as to why they're saying yes, and then will divorce after, right after. Keith, I think, is going to say yes. However, I feel like if after a couple of months and Iris still has not had sex, I think he will divorce her, because I think he would feel like, look, I've been patient. I've shown you that I'm not tripping off of that. We decided to stay with you. We're married. It's months down the road, and you're still, not budging in that area. I just think he'll divorce her later. All right, guys, that is it. Again, thank you all. Those who have subscribed, those who haven't, please hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of the family. I appreciate each and every one of you for checking out my video, for leaving your comments below. Please leave your vote, if you who you think is going to say yes, who you think is going to say no. And until next time, take care.